Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to Cloud Test Lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Public string add, taking two parameters, add operation called num1 plus num2, system.out.println some value, return string.value of sum. Just the basic method. Do you have the throw exception? Actually, it was not required for us to throw an exception. SOAP should handle the exception that got generated, and it was supposed to return back to the client with a SOAP fault message. That's what I'm trying to see. Yeah. Let me go over the error message. So currently what are we doing here? We are just sending the argument 0 and argument 1 and two numbers, but the first one we are sending it as a string and the second one as a number. Invoking add. Here it has reached, the request has reached to the server. Go and verify at the top level. The request has reached. You can see that argument 0 as string and argument 1 as 35. And here it was displayed the message add operation called. This is at the server level. And here it has thrown an exception. You can see that for input string str, number format exception has occurred. But at the server level, we don't have any handling for the exception. So that means what it will do is, see, whenever a method was not capable of handling the exception, where the exception will be thrown, the exception will be going to thrown back to the caller method. So the caller method for this is our web service or your CXF. So our CXF will be going to read that particular error message and it will be going to create a SOAP fault exception message. Let us copy this one. Go and create an XML file. This is the SOAP XML that got generated by your container. The top level envelope it will be going to contain, and inside the body either it can contain your actual response, but this time there is no proper response and it has generated an error message. So here you can see that it has created a SOAP fault, and the fault code is SOAP:server. So that means server exception has occurred. Sometimes it will be going to place it as SOAP:client, which means client exception has occurred. If at all, if your message or if your server, the service provider, was not capable of handling the exception will be going to handle by your SOAP itself, and will be going to create a SOAP fault message and will be going to respond back to the client. So currently what happened was, even our client also not handling the exception. So here we are not at all handling the exception, and the exception was thrown back to our main method. So whenever there is an exception occurred with respect to the service provider, it will be going to create an object called javax.xml.ws.SOAP_fault_exception. So whenever you are making a calls to the operations, you are supposed to handle this particular exception whenever there are any error messages occurred, and you are supposed to catch those exceptions and you can retrieve the actual information about the error. So currently, this is the method that will be going to throw the exception. So I'm just putting that in a try catch block. So in a try catch block, you can see that here itself you can see what is the error message that got raised, javax.xml.ws.soap.soap_fault_exception. Just catch that exception instead of throwing it back to your main thread. Local variable not assigned. Oops. So your exception object, here you have mentioned that from your fault message, you can retrieve the fault code and fault string. So for your SOAP fault exception block, you can just retrieve e.getFault, which means the top level element getFault, store it in a separate object, and once after that, what are the two things? Fault.getFaultCode and getFaultString. So now from our client side, instead of throwing it back to the main method, we are able to retrieve the SOAP fault error message, and we are able to retrieve what is the error code and what is the error message. And based on these two informations, we can easily fix the error that will be going to generated by our service provider. So now run our client one more time. So this time also it has generated a SOAP fault. And here you can see that the fault code has received as SOAP:server, or else we won't print the E column print stack trace. Now you can see that in our exception handle block, fault code is SOAP:server and fault string is for input string str. So the number format exception has occurred for input string str that got generated by our SOAP handler. This is how normally you will be going to handle by using SOAP fault class or SOAP fault exception. Or else if you want to handle the exception at the server level itself, if you want to handle the exception at the server level itself, you can just put all this in a try catch block. So finally, once after handling the exception, here you are handling the exception manually, but finally we want to send only fault message to the user. So create a SOAP fault object, SOAP fault exception object, and create a SOAP fault, or else write it separately. Your SOAP fault is an interface, so you don't have any access of creating the objects using an interface. So it should be created by using your SOAP factory class. Your SOAP factory is just like your session factory kind of stuff. You'll be going to ask your factory create an instance, and after that there are all the create methods. Either you can create an element or name, or you can create your fault object. And once after getting the fault object, you can just add the error messages or add the error code. Fault.set fault code. Let us say I want to set it as 500 errors because this is a server exception. And after that, set fault string. Number format exception occurred for e.get localized message. This is our actual exception message. So finally, you want to respond back to the client with a SOAP fault. Unhandled exception type SOAP exception. This is also throwing one more exception. Once you have handled at the server level, just deploy into the server one more time, because your Tomcat server contains old code. now go and execute our client. So here you can see that the fault code that was written as SOAP:SE500, which was set in our server side, and after that number format exception occurred on the localized message for whatever the parameter that it was specified it as number format exception will be going to associate with our actual error message and will be going to respond it back to the user. So by looking at this error message, the client will be going to understand that there is an issue with the input parameter. So on the server side, we are supposed to create a fault exception. So, but the fault is SOAP fault is an interface, and we don't have any classes or objects that are related to the SOAP fault. So that is why we are asking the factory to provide the one fault object. Sorry, once we got the fault object, you can set the fault code and fault string. But finally, we are supposed to respond with SOAP fault exception only. So the SOAP fault exception accepts a parameter SOAP fault, and we'll be going to set that one and respond back to the client. On the client side, you will be going to receive anyway the SOAP fault exception, because here you are throwing the same from the server side. From the server side, you are throwing SOAP fault exception. So the client side, you are going to receive the SOAP fault exception, and that will be going to contain the fault message, which will be going to contain those two strings, the code and the fault message value. This is how normally the errors will be going to handled by using SOAP envelope. Let me know if there are any doubts with respect to this. Yeah. Currently, I'm passing it as STR and 35.
Yeah, I'm actually just trying to look at the way you call the web service. So you instantiated the service using that, passed a WSDL URL and the service name.
Yeah. See, instead of going through this particular Java code, it will be good if you can understand the WSDL first. So go to our WSDL now. There is our WSDL. Go to our WSDL.
Okay.
See, our root class, if you remember yesterday, we have mentioned that service is just like our Java class. So you'll be going to start from the Java class level, and this is your service. And your service has internal element, which is port. So in your Java representation, it's just like a method inside your service. So right. From your service, you'll be going to ask the port, hey, get me one port. So at that time, what this port will do is it will make a communication to the server by using this particular URL, and will be going to associate a connection to the server, and it will be going to provide you a connection information, connection object information. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So once you have established the communication to the port, come back here. So your port has the communication with, sorry, your port was related to or has access to the binding element.
Okay.
Go to your binding element. Your binding element is nothing but which will be going to contain all your operations.
Okay. And
so once of, see, this one is related to this one, and your port was related to binding, and your binding was related to, go to the port type. Your binding was related to this particular port type.
When you say port type, what exactly is that? Is that like the type of the object or type of the service?
No, your port type contains all the operations.
Operations.
Yeah.
I thought we saw the operations inside the that add literal and all that thing, right? Inside soap binding.
This one?
Yeah.
Here it won't specify about the details of operation. It will just specify name of the operation.
Okay.
Inside the binding purpose is to specify about the transport details. What kind of protocol that you are using, either SOAP protocol or HTTP, SMTP or FTP, those kind of stuff it will be going to contain. Yes, it will be going to contain the operation details as well, but that doesn't serve any purpose because it just contains only the names of the operations.
Okay.
So what they'll do is, see, each and everything will be separated. Go to our image file. Yes. See, each and every element has definite purpose. The binding purpose is only for transport protocol, and it will be going to refer to your prototype element. Even though if it consists of different elements like what is the operation. So here you are specifying like it consists of the name of the operation, right?
Right.
But actual reference in our Java level, it will be going to take a look at the prototype by looking at this type, the ops calculation service. It will go to ops calculation service, and it will be going to see the add operation will be going to contain an input and the output. Here you can see that, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So basically then this WSDL operation, this name in the section that you are in right now, it is something like saying that these are the methods kind of that are available in the web service, but the above thing is actually the actual definition for that method, what are the input parameters and everything. And
yeah, here it will be going to specify that your operation consists of an input and output, but it doesn't specify what is the data type or what is the actual message that it is referring.
Okay.
But here, if you take a look at here, it will be going to specify the operation name and the input name, same as that here, but it will be going to specify what exactly that this input will be going to contain.
Yeah, what is that message TNS add again is? What is that?
Is your request message. If you think like your add method is your operation.
Okay.
Add method is your operation, and the message is nothing but your input parameters. This one here. And here the add response, it will be going to point to the message, which is the output, which is your return value. Each and every operation will be going to contain an input, and it will be going to contain an output. So input is nothing but your request parameters in terms of Java, and output is nothing but your return value.
Okay, what if you want to do a void? Oh, but all the web service calls have to return something. Yes, okay, it makes sense.
No, you can have one. We'll be going to discuss that one.
Okay.
Okay. Now, go back to your messages TNS add.
Okay.
This is your add, and it consists of the parameters. The add message consists of the parameters, which will be going to refer element as TNS:add. Go to your TNS:add. So the TNS:add, if you take a look at the complex type, it consists of two arguments, argument 0 and argument 1, which are nothing but your input parameters.
Okay.
See, you need to sit and identify each and every element, then it will be easy for you to go through one by one.
So this is like a schema file then for that?
Yeah, your WSDL is also nothing but a XML file, right?
Right, this is, okay. And it is
XML document, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So will all these TNS things elements be defined in that XSD then?
Oh yeah, currently we have specified it as to define in a separate XSD. You have the option of specifying them inside the types element directly instead of you specifying it as a separate XSD. See, all these elements, whatever that you have specified as a separate XSD elements, you can just copy them and place it inside the types. Your types will be going to specify all the data types.
Okay.
You have the option like either you can specify it here, or else if you think like this is a clumsy, if you are specifying all the elements here, then you can go for a separate XSD file and you can declare the elements there.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get this hierarchy in my mind.
No issues. No issues.
It's taking some time, but to
yeah, no issues. Yeah, that's what you do is what you can do is you can just practice at least one example, then create one small Java file and convert it into a web service and take a look at the WSDL file and then take a look at the class files, the 4 important class files that got generated for the client, then you will be able to understand easily.
Okay.
Yeah, until and unless you create on your own, then it will be like you'll be able to understand, but you will definitely forget it by tomorrow.
Right, right. So do we need to actually create the XSD file also, or does that get generated automatically?
See, currently I have created automatically.
Okay.
You have the option while creating the web service. Let me show it to you. Web service, create web service. Click on next. Click on next. Sure. I did a mistake. Here you can see that generate separate XSD for the types.
Okay.
If you have specified this one, it will be going to create a separate XSD file.
Okay.
If you haven't specified the checkbox, then it will be going to append or embed all those files in the same WSDL file.
Okay, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Related to the Java files that got generated, so it's not at all required for you to go through what kind of classes that the web service is using and how the port and type are got generated and how the communication is going on. Even though if you go for a real world project, they won't ask you to write from the scratch. So, but why I have explained is only for your understanding purpose.
Yeah. Another quick question is, when you go back there, are we working with 2 separate projects and to go back into your Eclipse? The WSDLs were created in one separate project, and
see, we need to think in 2 ways, right? The first thing is you are developing a service and you are deploying onto the Tomcat server, and once after that, as we are the clients, we are the only ones triggering to our service which was available at our local host. That's why I have created a second project, which is our client project.
So then why do we have that ops calculation strings client in the first web service project then?
Which one? This one you are talking?
Yeah, can you open that? I don't know if it is strings operations or it is just operations. Yeah, open the operation. Yeah, okay. Here, ops calculation service client, right?
Yeah, I have placed only for our purpose. It's not required for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this strictly has only the web service code in it, right? This project, this string operations.
Yeah, it's not required for you to have this one. You can just delete it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's only
think in a server way. Like, let us say you have developed this particular service. You want to test your service, right? Before publishing to the clients. So that means you'll be going to write a client application as well.
Correct.
So that's the reason your CXF has provided that class.
Okay. So truly here we don't even need the ops calculation.java too, right? Because you need only the ops calculation service, correct? Am I
No, service is your business interface, SEI. But you need to provide a definition for the method, right?
Okay. So one's an interface and the other one is the implementation.
Oh, yeah, correct.
Okay.
Because you want to expose your service over the web by using interface, which is a standard.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. What you can do is you just practice one web service, then you'll definitely able to understand all the elements.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, let me know if there are any other doubts. Now we'll be going to see a tool which can be used to generate the SOAP requests and send those requests to our server. I have already downloaded one tool, which is SoapUI tool. SoapUI tool. Just go to the site. This is a paid one. You have the option of 14 days trial version. So you can just download that one and try for 14 days. Download the trial. Once you have downloaded the trial, just extract that one, place it onto some folder. So see, this is the one. Once after you have downloaded the zip file and extract it to some folder.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2K Infosys.com. On our website H2K Infosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.